Today we turn to the Gospel of Luke. And I'm not reading from that version. I'm reading from the NIV version. That's the RSV. But we turn to Luke 24, verses 13 through 35. Now that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. But they were kept from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you only a visitor to Jerusalem and do not know the things that have happened there in these days?" "What things?" he asked. "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel, and what is more, it is the 3rd day since all this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but they didn't find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see." He said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Christ have to suffer these things and enter his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus acted as if he were going further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening. The day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table, then he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 and those with them and assembled together and saying, "It is true. The Lord has risen and has appeared to Simon." Then the two told what had happened on the way and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. This is the reading of the word. Memory is a powerful thing. We talk about it a lot at camp. We talk about our memories of touch. You know, that blanket thing that kids haul around, there's a reason for it. The memory of scent. I know you all know those old, nasty yellow bars of Dial soap. If you still use them, I'm sorry. But that scent of Dial soap reminds me of the times in my grandma's house where she would scrub our feet after being outside and put us in the tub because the only bar of soap my grandma used was Dial. The sense of taste. I mean, how many of us have those recipes that our parents make that we have followed to a T, and they do not taste the same? Other people will say they do, or they taste almost the same, or whatsoever, but when you taste it, it's not the same. There are things in our lives that stick out. There are moments. You know, they talk about grief as it comes in waves, where things will remind you of a specific person. And as life goes on, it becomes fewer and fewer, but there's still those moments, right? You know, I open my Bible and I see the ribbon. The ribbon goes to Psalm 46. It's been there for longer than I care to think about now. But I remember when I sat down with my mentor, and he said, Kara, go to the Psalms, just open them, and if you don't find one you like, I've always liked Psalm 46. And then the Bible I got. Every time I opened it, it was there. The ribbon was there. I don't know whether that was by coincidence or design, but the ribbon was there. And so every time I open it, I see that, and I remember that conversation. I remember those moments. There are a lot of people that we meet in life, right? I'm a faces person. I will remember your face. I can remember 100 details about your life. I cannot remember your name. It baffles me sometimes to hear about the disciples and their relationship with Christ. I mean, they were his best friends. BFF forever and ever and ever. And yet, they denied him. They ran away. They hid. And when they're walking along the road, talking to him in the way that he always talked to them, telling them about the scriptures and the things of life that he went over again and again and again, they didn't get it. They didn't remember and recall him until he came to this. Oh, I love that this is right here, right? Oh. They didn't remember it until he took the loaf of bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them. Perhaps it's because Christ didn't want to be recognized. I don't know. Scripture says their eyes were kept from recognizing him, and then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. What keeps us from recognizing Christ, though? You see, the road to Emmaus, it becomes this wonderful big journey of recognizing Jesus in our lives. Right? We have the whole Emmaus walk deal. That's the point. For any who have experienced the Emmaus walk, that's the whole reason you go. It's a way of revealing Christ in and through your life in a new and unique way. What is our road, though? What road are we on? It better not be Greenville Boulevard at noon. Unless you want to be at a standstill. But we always are constantly talking about life as a journey, right? We've got our bag. I mean, it's an image we use all the time. We have our baggage. I mean, how many of us have baggage? And a lot of it. And for those of us that like to hoard things, I'm sorry. It doesn't always fit, does it? We talk about unpacking events and all those sort of things. So this image of a road translates even today. See, not all of the images Christ used translate into us today. I'm not a fisherman. I mean, I get it. I get what it's supposed to mean, but that's not what I do. Thankfully. You all wouldn't eat if I fished. I'm not a farmer. Some of us are. I hope I'm not a Pharisee. I'm not a tax collector. Although I can't deny there are times where I wonder if being a biblical tax collector would have been not so bad of a gig, right? But the concept of being on the road, we've got that one down, don't we? We know what it's like to be on the road to somewhere. That our disciples were headed in a specific place, into a specific direction. Do we always all have that? No. We don't always know where our destination is going to be. That's part of the reason why I think we say, oh, life's a journey filled with twists and turns, and you never know what's around the next bend. We might not know. We might not know who we're even beside. And I think that that's the funniest part of this whole thing. We don't walk this journey alone. There are two disciples, right? Cleopas and Simon. And they're walking towards their destination of Emmaus. It doesn't tell us exactly why. But they're headed there. And they're walking with Jesus. I mean, how many of you pick up a stranger on the side of the road and walk with them? How many of you go to the mall and get into conversation with the people that you're walking beside? Because we know that sometimes when you're meandering through a mall, for those of us that like to do that, not all of us are direct people, to those specific spots. But when you're wandering through life in the store, I mean, we know those people that somehow you're in the same aisles of the grocery store and you go that exact same route. Do you talk to that person? Do you get in conversation with them? No. I mean, we have an excuse. We're not Jesus, right? I mean, Jesus is the one who engages them in conversation, who says, where are you headed? What are you discussing? Can I be part of this conversation? He asks that. What things are you discussing? Tell me. Can I be a part of this? And I find it interesting, though, that we as the people of God have gone onto this level of it's all about me personal faith. Sorry, y'all. Faith isn't personal. Accepting it is personal. How you engage in it and act in it is not. Worship is not personal. Worship's with people. Because the disciples were in a group of two, and didn't Christ say, where two or more are gathered, there I am? The whole of the Gospels never puts it on a single person. It's always one or two or three, or they go back and report to the many. Because these two disciples said, oh, we have found it to be true. The Lord has risen and has appeared to us. How can we share this good news? I think so often we hold our faith into ourselves and we forget instances such as the road to Emmaus, the times of the 12 and the 11 and the 5 and the 4 and the 3 and us. We forget to see, where does God reveal God's self to us? Where does Christ reveal Christ's self to us when we're on our journeys in life? We might write it in our journals, if we keep them. We might tell our spouses sometimes if we have that type of relationship. And if you don't, I encourage the attempt to do so. You might tell our best friend, oh my goodness, guess what happened? But so often we don't take it further. We leave it in our own little niche group of people. And that's all good and wonderful. But that's not the call of Christ on our life. You see, He wants to engage with us on our journeys. He came to Emmaus. He came on the road. The problem with us is if we don't share those moments, those times. The Gospel of Luke ends fairly soon after this story. It ends with Him appearing to the disciples as another whole group, and then with Him ascending. And then they continued. The very last verse in the Gospel of Luke is they stayed continually praising God. Our journeys on the road to wherever we head are filled with instances of seeing Christ. We might be a little bit blind to it. We might be kept from seeing it by things of our own making. See, that's another distinction. They don't tell whether the disciples are kept from seeing or recognizing Jesus by something of their own making, or from the divine being saying, no, let's hold this back so I can have a wonderful story to put in the Gospel of Luke so you can read it 2,000 plus years later, right? We can assume that that's what it is. It's our own stuff that keeps us from recognizing Christ in and throughout our lives. Because we know that to be true, don't we? That one resonates. And the truth of Christ and the truth of Christ's life, death, and resurrection will resonate all over if you open your eyes to see it. You don't have to be on the road. You don't have to know where your destination is. Because it is certain in all of our Gospels that the truth comes to those who open their eyes to see it. To those who are willing to believe without seeing. We're not going to see Christ today. Or if you do, it's not in the way you're going to expect. You see, we see Christ in moments, in memories, in all the little things of life, in the things that are on the day-to-day, the conversations we have with people, the moments of joy on a child's face. Those are Christ in action in every moment of every day. We are on the road. We don't have to. We should not have to have someone standing beside us, holding our hand, explaining it again and again and again, and saying, why do you not see this? Why do you not get this? How foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the things that Christ has done and has had to suffer. Do we need it every day? Those are questions we need to ask ourselves as we head forward as people of God in this time of Easter. Because that's the season we're in. We're in the season of Easter, on our way towards Pentecost, on our way to the revealing of the Spirit in and through us. So where are you on the road? And how willing are you to open your eyes and recognize Him? Amen.